Wow, I guess time really does make fools of us all. It seems like a lifetime ago that I was sat here, all bright-eyed and optimistic, at the end of a promising run of excellent movies at the tail end of 2019. And like most of you, I was looking forward to a new year filled with exciting new opportunities and possibilities. And then 2020 happens.
Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man!
Now I feel like a marathon runner that tried to complete the entire route using just his lips, feebly dragging himself over the finish line and just grateful that it's finally over. You don't need me to tell you that this one's been a fucking slog. It's a year more or less defined by the unspecified virus of unknown origin. A year that's seen our ways of working, socializing, spending time with family, and basically our entire way of life radically altered, including our entertainments. But what the hell, somehow we survived 2020, and since we're on the last day of the year, and probably all looking forward to a few stiff drinks this evening to see in the new one, I thought it would be high time for my second annual installment of The Drinker Reflects. Well, this one should be a fucking doozy. The year actually got off to a fairly promising start with the release of The Mandalorian. After the embarrassing disaster of the Disney sequel trilogy, The Mandalorian was a welcome return to simple, unpretentious Star Wars fun that was largely free of identity politics. Not long after came the first season of The Witcher, a flawed but fairly enjoyable show with excellent casting that promised better things to come. This little period at the start of the year is what I like to think of as the calm before the shitstorm. And believe me, the shit was coming. Star Trek Picard continued the gleeful destruction of the Star Trek brand under Alex Kurtzman, reducing a once noble and respected character to a miserable, pathetic piece of background scenery, constantly apologising for the crime of not being stunning and brave enough. Meanwhile, on my side of the pond, Chris Chibnall was working his own unique kind of magic on Doctor Who, turning a beloved sci-fi institution into a mean, dumb, divisive disaster that people simply couldn't wait to avoid. And it wasn't the only show to take a sharp turn down woke avenue. Westworld, once one of the most interesting and thought-provoking new shows on TV, was rapidly devolving into a boring, generic cyberpunk drama, laced with so much heavy-handed identity politics that it was basically impossible to take seriously, or enjoy. I know I didn't. All was not well in the world of movies either. Birds of Prey, which had been hyped up as an exciting female-centric spin-off for Harley Quinn, suddenly decided that insulting and belittling its male audience was going to be a winning formula. Funnily enough, it wasn't, and the movie crashed and burned harder than my mate's Vauxhall Corsa when I took it out for a spin after 2 bottles of vodka. And just as we were gearing up for another summer movie season stuffed with big budget blockbusters, along came the unspecified virus of unknown origin, which forced us all into lockdown for a few short weeks while we waited for the whole thing to blow over. Funnily enough, those weeks slowly turned into, well, basically the whole fucking year. As the summer came and went, one by one the big studios were forced to pull the plug and shunt their films to the following year, which isn't exactly great news if you happen to run a movie review channel. But as it turns out, there was plenty of hilarity for me to cover in the world of entertainment. Whether it was Safe Space and Snowflake setting out to conquer the comic book industry, or Brie Larson deciding the world needed to see her every week on YouTube, or Neil Druckmann thinking it was a good idea to release a video game shitting all over one of the most beloved titles in its generation. It certainly has been a funny old year, that's for sure, exposing both the best and worst of our society. And the changing entertainment landscape also forced studios to change how they do things. Mulan proved that releasing a big budget movie all about China onto your streaming service in the middle of a global pandemic that started in China is a quick and easy way to bankrupt your studio. While Tenet showed that just because it's made by Christopher Nolan doesn't mean it's good, especially when the movie makes no fucking sense. But there were also other, more sinister changes taking place, especially in light of all the, peaceful protests happening across America during the summer. Suddenly studios were tripping over themselves to apologise for movies made decades earlier because they didn't line up with 2020's hypersensitive PC culture. And before you knew it, Cheeky little edits were being made here, there, and everywhere, trying desperately to remove anything that might be considered problematic, instead of, having the maturity and common sense to recognise that films made long before most of us were even born are likely to contain elements that wouldn't be added today. Like I say, it's been a weird fucking year, and in many ways it's exposed some of the worst tendencies in our entertainment and news media. The lies and misinformation, the forced politicisation of everything, the desperate attempts to silence anyone who speaks out, and the vapid celebrities doing everything they can to capitalise on all of this in their relentless drive for more fame and attention. It can all be a bit tiring and demoralising, and I'd be lying if I said there weren't periods where I simply disconnected myself from all news and social media. It's great, I really recommend it to everyone. But the good news is that people are becoming increasingly wise to this shit, and they're rejecting it with increasingly loud voices. And as for me, well, it's actually been a really good year for this channel. I've more than doubled my number of subscribers despite the lack of new movies to review. I've launched a second channel for all my livestream content, and I've been lucky enough to have some awesome content creators on to talk about our favourite movies. At a time when news was generally not good, it seems people really appreciated a bit of laid-back positivity, and I can genuinely say the support and camaraderie that I've found amongst other YouTubers really has been amazing. The lack of new films has also given me a chance to go back and review older titles that I might never have had time to look at otherwise. I've launched new series like Production Hell and The Drinker Fixes to do things other than pure reviewing. And shit, I've even had time to branch out into gaming from time to time. And really, none of this would have been possible without the people watching this video, the generosity of my backers on Patreon and Subscribestar, everyone that's bought and read my books, all the super chats that have come my way over the past year, or just the people who watch and enjoy my content. You guys have allowed me to turn an enjoyable hobby into an actual full-time profession that pays my bills, and I'll never stop feeling lucky for that. When this all began, the idea that one day I'd even reach 100,000 subscribers, never mind 1 million, was as ludicrous as not drinking myself into oblivion every night. And yet, here we are, more than halfway there already, and I've got no plans to slow down next year, that's for sure. If anything, I'm hoping to do even more with my channel. But, for all my verbal eloquence, it's tough for me to sum up how much of a difference this whole thing has made to my life, and how much I owe all of you for it. So I'll keep it simple for once, and just say thank you. And I guess that pretty much rounds out my thoughts on this year. I'm not going to pretend that all our problems will magically vanish at the stroke of midnight and all will be right with the world when we wake up tomorrow, but I do firmly believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel and better days lie ahead. It may take a while to get there for sure, but hopefully we'll all get to see them together. Anyway, that's all I've got for this year. 2020, you can go away now.